This is Gabriela on the scene today with Talk Network Radio. We have a real treat for you just around the corner, and that is Empowered Living with Jeff Byrd. Jeff is the owner of Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, and he will be coming to you weekly to teach you more about empowered living.
Hello and welcome. I'm Jeff Byrd, and this is Empowered Living. Got a kind of a cool, and I hope it's a refreshing podcast for you today. This one is entitled "Come in the House," and I'll tell you why we put the exclamation point and why I say it emphatically as we go along here. So, it was just this morning. My wife and I we start out the mornings. We have coffee and we watch some inspiring nature or beautiful flowers or something videos with some, and just get the day started off by things and not the news. Good heavens, not the news. But so we want to put some beautiful things in. And this morning there was a picture of this beautiful English garden with this beautiful little cottage, and it looked so peaceful, and it looked like it'd been there for hundreds of years. And I told my wife, I said, that's where I want to be. That's where I want to be. I just want to be at that house. I want to take a vacation there for a good long time. Because I've been a little worn out and weary, and just a bit burdened recently, and for a number of reasons. And I thought, boy, wouldn't it be nice just to be there? Everybody could just get a rest and a break there. And I thought, well, I just want to be in that house. And so one of the beautiful things I think about being home, wherever that may be for you, is it's always, for me anyways, it's brought up a sense of peace. I can remember many days just coming home and clicking that door and hearing that lock click, and I'd be like, whew, just breathe a big sigh of relief. It's like, wow, I'm home. I'm home. And all of whatever craziness I may have experienced at work or in traffic or in stores or wherever else, or all the emergency vehicles, and it's like, whew, all of that's out there. I'm home now. Nobody with any likelihood is going to come in and get me. I'm in a safe place. I'm in a secure place. I'm in a peaceful place. I'm at home. And, I thought about it. And just because we have a home or had one growing up too, doesn't mean we felt at home, right? It doesn't mean we felt that peace, that belonging. Just like Ginny in the movie Forrest Gump, she said, "Dear God, make me a bird so I can fly far, far away." She just wanted to get as far away as she could, because home wasn't anything like what a home should be for her. And I hope that's not the case with you. But if it has been, or if it sometimes is, there's some hope, because there's a greater belonging. There's a greater home that I want to talk about today. And it's a lot of times home, I think there can be wrong voices. We get messages. I actually wrote a book about it called Who Says So? And it's like these messages and where they're coming from. And one of the things that I noticed in home is a lot of times there's a lot of people trying to measure up to other people's expectations, right? And boy, it's sometimes, depending on your background, you can feel like, wow, it is never enough. And you get those messages, maybe you're trying to measure up, or your parents expected you to measure up to a certain thing, or maybe you're trying to measure up to a sibling. I know second-born children often have a lot of issues with that, because the firstborns, if they're very successful, then they feel all this pressure to measure up and be as good as Bob or Sue or whoever. It can be a lot of pressure, and we can feel really got to measure up and work hard and accomplish a lot in order to be accepted. And one of the dangers there, I think, is that voice, I call it a taskmaster. It's the taskmaster of never enough. No matter how good you've done, boy, you still haven't done well enough. Still got to go. Still doesn't go. I've experienced that a lot in churches too. And I'm a pretty conscientious, self-starting kind of person that likes to help people and likes to do things. But boy, you can get the message too. Boy, it's just never enough. Never enough. You need to pray more. You need to give more. You need to do more. You need to help more. And it's like, whoo, when do we ever get home? To rest, to find a place of rest and acceptance and belonging, where you can just breathe deeply and know that you're loved, and there's nobody finding fault, and there's nothing else you have to do, right? You're right. place. And as I thought about that, taskmaster, I came across the story of the prodigal son the other day, and that may be a familiar story to a lot of people. If not, it's in Luke chapter 15 in the Bible. But most of the emphasis is put on the younger son. But there's a couple of sons. There's actually three of them in the story. You may not have ever read about the third, but I'm going to explain it in a sec. But the younger son, he's the one that rebels against the father. He gets all the attention. So he's like, Father, I don't, he basically says, I don't want you. I don't want what's yours. I don't want to have anything to do with you, but I would like your money and my part of the inheritance, if please. So the father amazingly gives him his part of the inheritance, and he proceeds to leave home and go off to a far country, we're told, and to waste his money. He wastes it partying. He wastes it with hookers. He wastes it and then he's all out of money. And it was a good time while he had money. Everybody wanted to be a friend of the guy with money. When he runs out of money and has wasted all the resources, he has nothing and no friends around. Funny that. And he ends up feeding pigs corn husks and wishing he could eat the husks that pigs are eating because he's that hungry. And then he kind of comes to his senses and he says, wow, even my father's servants, are so much better off than I am. I don't even deserve to be a son anymore. He realizes, boy, his consequences have kind of woken him up to the error of his mindset and his heart set. And he goes, wow, my father was a pretty good guy. And everybody's doing well there. I'm going to go back and tell him, hey, I'm not even worthy to be called your son. I failed so miserably. And would you consider taking me back as a servant? At least I'd be better off than feeding pigs here in the middle of nowhere. And so he goes back, and if you've read the story, the father sees him a long way off. It says he sees him a long way off because he's been waiting and he's been looking, hoping he comes home. And he sees him a long way off, and he's filled with compassion. And he does something that in that culture people did not do, especially older men. It was extremely undignified and a really lavish display of emotion, which would be undignified there. He runs to his son, and he says he falls on him and embraces him and kisses him, and immediately calls the servant and says, the son can't even get his little prepared speech out of his mouth. The father says, hey, bring out the robe, bring out the clean robe, cover all of that dirtiness. And we've been with pigs for a long time and who knows where else. He said, cover all of that. Put the ring on his hand, the signet ring of my house. He's mine. And I want everybody to know that. Bring sandals for his feet. Only the family wore sandals. Bring out, show everybody that he belongs to this family and he's mine and that I love him and that I'm incredibly glad that he's back. And then he tells another servant, hey, go kill the fatted calf. Sorry, all you vegans, but that's what they did back then. That's what the story says. Go kill the fatted calf. We've been preparing for a big celebration. Go do that and make merry. Strike up the band. Get the party started. Because this son of mine, he was dead and he's alive. He was lost and now he's found. Come in the house. Come join the party. So that's one. That's the younger son who came and rediscovered the father's heart for him and came in the house. Now the other one is a real big concern to me. I've been both of these at different times, but I think sometimes that the harder one to resolve is because we can make bad decisions. Consequences kind of wake up somewhere like, oh my gosh, that was a horrible decision. What on earth was I thinking? Let me reevaluate some things. But now the older brother, he didn't leave home. He was out in the field working for the father. He was working. Well, he was diligent. He was reliable. He was faithful. He was a hard worker. But you know what? He was resentful. And he didn't have, even though he was working hard for this father, he didn't understand the heart of the father. He just thought he had to work hard for him, get a bunch of stuff done. He wasn't coming in the house and finding his place of rest and love and provision and enjoying the heart of the father. He was just working hard for him. He was already loved and accepted, but he didn't know it. And he thought he had to work real hard to get that. So he's out working. He wouldn't even come into the party because he was resentful towards the younger brother. What do you mean this guy takes your money and goes in parties and does all kinds of wrong things with it and wastes all your money, and you kill the fatted calf for him? And the father's like, hey, we had to, because this is my son. He was lost. He's been found. He's come home. He's in the house, and I want you to come in the house. I want you to come in the house. I don't want the father's saying, I don't want sons who are either off in a far country, just wasting their resources and their lives with all the wrong things. And I don't want sons who are just think they have to work so hard for me and do all this stuff. I want my son to come in the house. I want him to be at rest. I want him to be at peace. I want him to understand my heart and that all I have is theirs. And that's what the father told the older brother. He said, son, all I have is yours. You're always with me. You could have had the fatty cat any time. You don't have to work up to get my good things. You don't have to earn them because I'm good and I love you and I give them freely and readily as a gift. That's who I am. And that's really what the story is about. It's not about the story. We often, as Bible people, and we know the story, we tend to think negatively about things. We tend to focus a lot more on problems than solutions a lot of times. And that's so whoever wrote this, they termed this the prodigal son. It's not in the actual Bible itself. It's somebody said, oh, this is a story of the prodigal son. Well, what if they had called it the story of the extravagantly loving father? Right? We focus on prodigalness more than homecomings. And what God is saying in this is, please come in the house. It's rough out there. You'll get your heart broken in the far country. You'll get your back broken in the field. And I don't want brokenness. I want wholeness. So come home, come in the house. Sit down here at my table. Tell me everything that's on your mind. Tell me what's on your heart. Let me enter with you. I'll never find fault with you. I'll never reject you. I understand. I know it all already. I just like to share it with you and walk through it with you and give you from my resources and my provision and my wisdom and my heart for you and just celebrate with you and give you a true place of rest. The one verse I want to share with you, one passage, it's in Matthew 11:28 through 30. And this is Jesus speaking. And he's just received word that his cousin, John the Baptist, or John the Baptizer, probably more correctly. He wasn't part of a denomination. He was the one who baptized people. So he was the guy that was telling the good news about the coming kingdom that God was going to restore, so he could bring his kids in the house. But they didn't want it. They didn't want anything to do with him. They rejected him. They threw John the Baptist in prison. And once Jesus heard of it, he stopped talking just to the nation of Israel. Kind of a long story there, but he had originally just come. He was a Jew. Abraham was Jewish. All the promises were from the Jews, and he came to the Jews. And when John the Baptist was thrown in prison, he knew, okay, they've rejected my messenger that went ahead of me. They're going to reject me too. And just after he receives that news, he opens up this invitation. I got chills all over. He opens up this invitation to everybody. And he says, it's the first time he made an offer to everybody, anywhere, in any condition. He says, come unto me, all, A-double-L, all, who are weary and are heavy laden. Let me ask you, does that describe you today? It's described me many times in this season. Come to me, all who are weary and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. It's an agricultural illustration. They used to plow with oxen, and they would put this yoke across them so they would stay in unison. He said, but they used that for teaching. Take my teaching upon you and learn from me, because I'm gentle and I'm humble, and you'll find rest for your souls. I'm nothing like you think I am. I've got a bigger heart, and I'm more for you than you can imagine. You'll find rest for your soul. My yoke is easy. My teaching's easy, and my burden's light. My teaching is that everything that's wrong with the world, I'm not hiding it, but I'm taking it on me, and I'm taking it away, and I'm giving you everything that you always wanted that you never deserved. And I'm giving it as a gift because that's my heart for it. And you'll find rest for your souls. How many people in this day would like rest for their souls? Rest for their souls. Jesus said, if you come to me and learn from me, learn about me and what I'm really like, you're going to find rest for your souls. I want you to come in the house again. And I want you breaking your heart in the far country, and I don't want you breaking your